Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about the frontside tail slide. I've gone over this one once and I feel like it was about time to do a refresher on this one. This is a pretty popular tutorial I did a while back, so I think a lot of people request different tips on tail slides and whatnot, so I figured I'd go ahead and go over it again, just doing more of a practice video. I did a few tail slides at the local DIY here, so you want to make sure that before you do tail slides, you have frontside 180s down. You want to make sure that you have them down, let's say the majority of the time. If you try a frontside 180, let's say 10 times, that you can at least land them, I would say probably 80% of the time. It's going to help you greatly if you can understand the dynamic of a frontside 180 before you try tail slides, because you're basically doing the same motion. And not only that, but you need to make sure that you get the tail high enough to get onto the ledge. So it helps to have a decent sized frontside 180 before you begin this trick. I always like to approach with my front foot with the toes hanging off. That's generally how I do frontside 180s anyway. The feet tend to shift on the board if you don't set up that way. It's easier for your feet to kind of slip off the board if they don't. So I feel like that gives you a good sense of control when you have the toes hanging off on the front foot. You're going to approach like you normally would for a frontside 180, just a slight angle, give it a nice pop, and make sure that that tail really rises above to meet the ledge. And some of the main problems that you'll experience with this trick is, one, just the tail slipping completely off the ledge, and that's usually because you either had not very much weight on the tail, and so it was easy for it to just kind of slip off or tap the ledge. Another cause of that problem is just not really getting most of the tail on it. Maybe only half of the tail touched the ledge, and that's not a good foundation for starting a tail slide. You need to really make sure that the tail is fully on there and it's fully locked in. The next problem is just completely stopping once you get into the tail slide, and that could be for many things. Sometimes we press on the toes too much, and that could cause when the toes are the ones that are really guiding the tail slide, if you press down on them too much, they can act as like a brake as well. So it can kind of stop you from continuing the tail slide. It's a little bit easier if you can kind of focus more of the weight on the ball of your foot as opposed to the toes, because if you put too much pressure on the toes, it can act as a brake. So it helps again if you ease up on the toes and put a little bit more pressure on the ball of your foot. I wouldn't say as much on the heels, because then it can start to feel like as if you're losing control. But other than that, when you come to a stop like that, it could be because of that, or because the ledge isn't waxed enough. This is definitely one of those tricks where you need to have sufficient wax on a ledge in order for you to keep sliding. Anything nose slide or tail slide related, it's going to help to be heavy on the wax. So those are some of the main problems that come with the tail slide. Of course, slipping out, that's if you have too much wax or you're leaning back too much. But those seem to be the main problems with tail slides, really just locking it in and keeping it in. And starting this trick, it can feel difficult to really trust in putting all of your weight on the tail, because it feels, maybe not everyone feels the same about this, but when you're riding on a skateboard and the wheels are what's guiding you, you at least feel this sense of control. But when the board is what's guiding you and you're just sliding along and you're on a ledge and it doesn't seem to be much of a room to stop, it can feel like you're out of control. So it's easy to feel out of control on a tail slide. And I think the best way to combat that and to get used to the feeling of sliding on your tail and nothing else, it helps to ollie into a tail slide at a very, very low speed, or almost no speed at all. and just seeing if you can stand on it for a few seconds. If you can build up the courage to lock into a tail slide and just stand on it for a few seconds, even if you're not sliding, but you've just gotten yourself into the position, that's going to help you build up the confidence that it takes to actually approach a tail slide with speed and to actually get it started. So in my opinion, those are the main issues with the tail slide. Not locking it at all. That could be because you don't put much weight on it and you haven't aimed at it properly. You get very little of the tail, and so it just falls right off. Just stopping completely, and again, that could be because you leaned forward a bit too much, put too much weight down on the toes, pressing down on it, or you don't have enough wax, or a combo of both. So those are really the main problems with the tail slide. You can come out to fakie or to regular. I love coming out to fakie because it's just easier to complete the frontside 180, because the motion is very similar to a 180. So you can tail slide and go back to regular, or you can go to fakie. I just think it feels more natural to go to fakie. So those are my tips on tail slides. Hopefully this gave you some insight on that. Let me know down below if there's any videos that I may have done in the past that you want me to cover again. I know I haven't done this one in a while, so if there's any others that you think should be revisited, feel free to drop a comment, and I will see you guys next time.